You know, New Year's is a big deal in our family because we have 40 relatives gathering together. Preparing for it is incredibly hard work. I can't have you underestimating how we do things around here. Since you've married into this family, that's just how it is. Of course, I'll give you some instructions, but don't think you can rely on me too much, okay? Finally, we've reached the point of passing the torch to the next generation, so I'm looking forward to relaxing this year.
Judith? With all due respect, I think I mentioned before, but I'm due to give birth around New Year's, so I might not be able to handle all the preparations. I thought I made that clear already.
Huh? I don't recall asking for your opinion. This is just how things are done in our family, and your reasons don't matter. New Year's is New Year's. It's a family event, so you're going to handle the preparations.
As I've mentioned, there's a chance I might actually be in labor during that time, or I could be in the hospital. I'm sorry, but for this year, would it be possible for you to take charge of the preparations? Of course, if I'm physically able, I will definitely help out.
Huh? How many times do I have to say this? My son got married, and now that you're his wife, we're finally passing on the responsibility. I've been doing all the New Year's preparations for years now, and it's been a tremendous amount of work. But now, I finally get to graduate from that. I've been looking forward to this moment for so long. I can't wait to have a New Year's where I don't have to do anything, so you'll be working hard this year.
But realistically speaking, it might be difficult for me.
Why are you complaining about this now? As a mother-to-be, you should be able to handle something like this with ease. You can't let anything throw you off.
I understand that, but...
I said I'm not interested in your opinion, didn't I? If you don't like it, why don't you try changing your due date?
That's impossible. Surely as someone who's experienced childbirth, you understand that I can't control when the baby will come, right?
Not my problem. Got it? This year, I'm not lifting a finger to help.
But this is really out of my control. Since we can't predict exactly when the baby will be born, it could happen earlier or later. If it happens later and I'm available, of course I'll help with the preparations. But if I'm not able to, I'd really appreciate it if you could assist.
I've told you already, I don't care. Oh, by the way, I have a drinking party with the neighbors starting soon, so I'm off. See ya.
Judith, wait. Please, I'm begging you.
Hey, where's the New Year's food you were supposed to prepare?
Uh-huh. I just gave birth a little while ago, so I haven't been able to prepare the food.
What? What are you talking about? I told you how important this is, didn't I? Giving birth doesn't matter. Don't you understand the importance of family traditions?
Even if you say that, it's not realistic for me to do this right now. I just went through childbirth. I literally put my life on the line to bring a child into the world.
Even if it's the day you give birth, if you're a wife in this family, you make the food for the relatives. Don't use childbirth as an excuse. Get discharged right now and prepare food for 40 people.
Are you serious?
Of course I am. Don't just lie around lazily in a hospital. You married into this family, so you work like one of us.
Understood. I'll come over now.
As you should. Even if it takes you all night, you better get it done.
Yes.
Hey! What are you doing collapsed on the floor? You've caused an enormous commotion here from the start of the new year. We had ambulances and police cars rushing here all because of you. And you couldn't even manage to make food for 40 people? Seriously, what do you think you're doing? Because of your incompetence, I had to use the little scraps you left behind to finish preparing the food. It was your job, and yet why am I the one doing it again this year? You will apologize, kneeling and bowing at my feet next time I see you. And don't think you'll get away with that. You owe me a Chanel bag as an apology. If you don't, you are no longer part of this family. You are a disgrace as a wife, and you should leave this house immediately.
So, it was you, Judith. You're the one who pushed Kenzie to the brink, aren't you? It's not Kenzie who's going to leave, it's you. I'm the one who's utterly disappointed in you.
What? Who's this? Huh? Who do you think you're talking to?
It's me, your husband.
Wait, you're here? Are you serious?
I heard from Kenzie what really happened when I saw her lying there exhausted and you simply laughed it off, telling her, "What are you doing lying down?" I knew something wasn't right, so I asked Kenzie to tell me everything, and she told me the truth. You made her come home and prepare food for the entire family right after she gave birth. I couldn't believe it, but now I know it was all because of you, Judith.
Stop exaggerating. All because of me. That's such a horrible thing to say. I was just following the family traditions. I've always had to take care of the New Year's preparations. And now that Kenzie's married into the family, it's her turn. I did the same thing for years, and now it's her responsibility. I didn't do anything wrong. Don't try to paint me as the villain here.
Are you kidding me right now? You never gave birth in the dead of winter like Kenzie did. And even when you did have our children, my parents were always incredibly kind to you, making sure you didn't have to lift a finger. They took every precaution to ensure you weren't overexerting yourself. After you gave birth, I was the one who took over the household chores, and I didn't let you do anything strenuous. I even know how you slacked off on the housework for months afterward, letting me do most of it.
Wait, that's different. You can't compare our situations. You wouldn't understand, Davis, because you've never given birth yourself. After childbirth, it takes time to recover. My body didn't cooperate for months. It's not like I could just jump right back into things.
Wow, that's rich coming from you. So you know exactly how hard it is to recover from giving birth. And yet you still forced Kenzie to make food for the whole family right after she had our baby?
That's not the same thing. I mean, it's just one day. I thought she could push through and manage for a day. After all, it's only a bit of extra effort.
Your excuses are pathetic. I don't want to hear them anymore. I was shocked when you insisted on staying behind with Kenzie instead of coming with me to my parents' house for New Year's. But now I understand why. You never had any intention of helping her. Instead, you wanted her to suffer, didn't you? I'm truly disappointed in you, Judith. You've let me down.
That's not true. I just thought you were working so hard lately that you deserve a break. I didn't want you stressing over the New Year's preparations. That's why I stayed back. It was for your sake, not hers.
Enough! From now on, I'm leaving everything in Kenzie's hands. I've already crossed a line by borrowing her phone to message you, but I can't sit by and let this continue. When I get back, we're gonna have a serious discussion. And just so you know, this will be your last New Year's with my family. You won't be around to celebrate with us next year.
Wait, Davis, what do you mean? We've been married for decades. How could you suddenly turn against me like this and take her side? You're my husband. How could you? Are you even listening to me?
Judith, it's Kenzie. I gave birth recently, and your son went back to your house to drink on New Year's Eve. You didn't even bother to come to visit your new grandchild. And instead, you both stayed behind, celebrating without us.
So what? What's the big deal? You could have just made the food at your house and brought it over to Grandma's tomorrow. We could have seen each other then. What's with all this drama?
I was literally risking my life giving birth. The only one who cared enough to come by my side was Davis. But by the time he got here, I had already returned home to start preparing the food. When Davis found out what I was doing, he rushed over to help. He called an ambulance for me, but if he hadn't come in time, I don't even want to think about what could have happened.
Stop being so melodramatic. If you're well enough to be sending messages, you clearly weren't in that bad of shape. You called an ambulance just for that? You've made a scene, dragging the whole family into it, and now we're all in an uproar. Honestly, you're such a drama queen. And as for Davis, well, he's always been too soft on you.
You're calling me dramatic? I literally collapsed, Judith.
That's your own fault for not taking better care of yourself. You've clearly been neglecting your health if something like this can take you down. All I did was make sure you followed the family traditions like any proper wife should. I didn't do anything wrong.
Davis seems to have made up his mind, but for now, I'll be staying in the hospital as the doctors have advised me to rest. So enjoy your New Year's with your son and the rest of the family.
Of course I will. We'll have a grand time, as always, while you've made yourself irrelevant in this family anyway.
Actually, Judith, it's you who's irrelevant now. Davis said that he's decided you're no longer part of this family.
Huh. Don't be ridiculous. I've had enough of this charade.
I don't know if it's a charade or not, but Davis seems pretty serious. He's planning to divorce you.
What? Divorce? That's impossible. We've been married for so many years. There's no way we're getting divorced. If anyone's getting divorced, it's you and my son. You're the one who should leave this family.
No, Judith. Davis is fed up with your cruelty. He's done with you.
Oh, please. You must have brainwashed him or something. My bond with Davis is stronger than anything you could ever imagine. Our marriage is solid. It's yours that's falling apart, not mine. And let me tell you, my son has been complaining about you nonstop. He says you've gained so much weight since getting pregnant that he can't even look at you as a woman anymore. It's no wonder, really. You've been lazing around, stuffing your face with junk food every day.
You know, Judith, you really love running your mouth. But I'm done with this conversation. I'll come to your house once I've fully recovered, and we'll settle things properly. Until then, this is goodbye.
Kenzie, I truly apologize for what happened yesterday. The fact that I didn't notice things had gotten this bad is my failure as well. I've made you shoulder so much, I don't even know how to properly apologize.
Davis, thank you for reaching out. But please, you don't have to apologize. I'm the one who's sorry for dragging you into this mess. It must have been difficult for you too, and I can't imagine how shocked you were yesterday.
Yeah, I won't lie. It was pretty shocking. But after seeing all the evidence, honestly, I feel more resolved now. If she's gonna behave like that, then I can't just sit back and stay silent any longer.
Right. I understand. So, what are you planning to do?
I've made up my mind. I've put up with a lot from her for years, thinking that it was easier to ignore the issues than face them. But now, seeing how far things have gone, I realize that ignoring her behavior has only made everything worse. And now you're caught up in it. This isn't something I can just tolerate anymore.
You've really had to go through a lot with Judith, haven't you? Honestly, when I heard what you said to her yesterday, I was shocked. I thought I was the only one she'd treated so harshly.
I know. I can't apologize enough for that. The truth is, I've been letting her get away with everything for years. I never really pushed back, and she took that as a green light to do whatever she pleased. She became arrogant, never lifting a finger, and treating everyone around her as though they owed her something.
So that's what it was like for you too.
Yeah, even when our son was born, she was pampered and treated like she was doing something amazing. I didn't see it at the time, but we all coddled her too much. I thought I was doing the right thing by supporting her, but I realize now that I was just enabling her behavior. She got used to everyone catering to her whims, and before I knew it, she was manipulating people into giving her whatever she wanted.
I see. You're not the one at fault here, Davis. You don't need to beat yourself up over this. Judith is the one who created the situation with her behavior.
Maybe. But it's my responsibility, too. I let her act this way for too long, thinking that it was easier to just ignore the problems. But now this situation has escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. The fact that she treated you the way she did, I just can't let this slide anymore.
I'm glad to hear that you're taking action. It's been tough, but knowing that you're standing up to her gives me some peace of mind.
I'll handle things from here on out, but Kenzie, you shouldn't have to deal with this either. Don't push yourself too hard. Let me take the lead on this.
Thank you, Davis. I appreciate that, but I'm ready to. I've got everything I need, and I'm prepared for whatever comes next.
Good to hear. I'll start the necessary discussions on my end. You just focus on your health and well-being. Don't stress yourself out more than you need to.
Of course. I'll do my best. I'll talk to your son about everything, too. I know we both need to be on the same page.
That's important. Make sure you two are aligned, and then we'll move forward together. But don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it. You're not alone in this.
Thank you. I feel so much better knowing that you're by my side.
Of course, Kenzie. We're family. I won't let Judith's actions tear this family apart any longer. We'll get through this.
I hope so. I just want things to get better from here.
They will. I'm certain of it. We've been through too much to let her continue controlling things the way she has. It's time for a change.
Yes, it is. Thank you again for everything, Davis. I'll talk to your son and we'll figure out our next steps.
Take care of yourself, Kenzie. I'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Davis. You too.
What have you done? How could you say something so outrageous to my husband?
Oh, I see you've heard about it right away. That's quite ironic coming from you. You have no idea how shocked I was when I learned the full extent of everything. I can't believe you were having an affair with an old male friend and that your husband got involved with that friend's daughter. It's such a disgusting mess. It's unbelievable.
I didn't know anything about it. I had no idea his daughter would end up in a relationship with my son. We're all married, so I never thought it would come to this.
Well, that makes sense. I'm sure your son would say the exact same thing. I mean, it's beyond disgusting to think that your mother and her father were dating while they were both married. If I were in his shoes, I'd feel like throwing up.
What did you just say?
Honestly, it's just plain gross. What on earth are all of you doing getting involved with each other while being married? I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh?
How do you even know about all this? It's not just about my son.
Believe me, I was just as shocked. When I noticed my husband acting suspiciously, I hired a detective. It turned out that everything was connected, and I found out about your situation too. But honestly, I intended to ignore it, at least until this incident happened.
Huh? What do you mean?
I mean, I didn't really care about what you were doing with your life. Frankly, it was none of my business, and I had no way of knowing how much Davis was aware of your actions. I was going to keep quiet about it.
Then why did you say anything?
Well, Davis was already exasperated with your behavior, and he said he was considering divorce. So I figured that telling you wouldn't change anything. Since I was at that point, I decided to tell you everything just to support Davis, who was on my side.
If I hadn't done this...
Right. You probably wouldn't have been asked for alimony, and you could have had a regular divorce. Scary how resentment works, right? I've been through a lot of pain because of you, so I think it's only fair that you feel some pain too.
You must be kidding. To try to ruin me for such a reason?
Ruin you? You're the one who's been thinking about men other than your husband. I think the problem lies with you, who did something you wanted to hide.
That's...
So you'll be getting divorced and kicked out of the house. You've been a stay-at-home wife until now, but from now on, you'll have to work hard and live on your own. If you'd like, my husband and I can get divorced too, so we can help each other out. I'll be getting a hefty alimony for my divorce. I want nothing to do with a lousy man who betrays me for his pregnant wife, while he thinks he can make me work.
Wait a minute. I get it now. We're both reflecting on our actions, so please forgive me for this incident. I won't treat you meanly from now on. We can all be a happy family, right?
Don't say it so casually. You could have put my life at serious risk here. And you think saying sorry will fix everything? You're the one who betrayed me, thinking you can just soak up the sweet stuff while I'm hurting. But do you have any idea how deep that wound is? Just saying I'm sorry won't heal it.
Please. I didn't expect this divorce to happen. I'm begging you. Can't you say something to help us out?
I've already told you that I think divorcing is the right decision. You've mistaken your position because people have been too kind to you. This incident should help you realize just how incompetent you are. Now, go ahead and fall into hell with your worthless son and reflect on your choices, you pathetic woman.
How could you say that to me after everything we've been through as a family?
You think being a family means ignoring betrayal? No, it means holding each other accountable for actions. You failed at that, and now you have to face the consequences.
You think this is easy for me? I didn't choose to be in this situation. I thought we were in this together.
Together? You thought this was about support? No, it's about truth. You've lied and betrayed, and now you're expecting sympathy? That's rich.
What about my sacrifices? Everything I've done for this family.
Sacrifices? Sacrifices for what? To enable your son to repeat your mistakes? No, I don't think so. It's time for you to face reality.
You have no idea what I've sacrificed. This isn't just about you and me. It's about our families.
And what about my family? Do you think I'm just going to sit back and let your actions destroy everything? No way.
This is all so unfair.
Unfair? Try to put yourself in my shoes for a moment. You think this is just about you? I'm the one left picking up the pieces.
I never intended for any of this to happen. I thought we were family.
Family doesn't betray family. That's the lesson you need to learn. You've caused this mess, and now you expect me to clean it up? No.
Please, I'm begging you.
You've begged enough. Actions have consequences, and it's time for you to deal with them.
I can't believe this is happening.
Believe it. This is your reality now. You've made your bed, now lie in it.
I never thought it would come to this.
Well, now you know. It's time to wake up and smell the coffee.
Can't we just sit down and talk this out? We might find some common ground if we just listen to each other.
Talk it out? What do you think we are, friends? You've betrayed my trust, and you want to sit down like nothing happened?
I'm not saying we should ignore it. I'm just suggesting that we find a way to move forward without further conflict.
Move forward? You've shattered trust. How do you expect to just move past this?
I understand, but we have a history. We can't just throw that all away.
History? You mean the history of deceit and betrayal? That's not something I want to build on.
It doesn't have to be like this. Can't you see that we both have made mistakes?
Mistakes? You call what you did a mistake? This isn't just a simple error. This is a betrayal that has real consequences.
I regret it. I truly do. Can't we find a way to make amends?
Amends? You think saying you're sorry is enough? It doesn't work that way. You have to face the fallout of your actions.
I understand that, but can't we just talk it through?
Talking won't change what you've done. I need time to process this, and you should too.
I'm willing to wait. I just don't want this to be the end of everything.
It's already changed everything. You need to accept that.
I will accept it, but I want to at least try to fix this.
Fix it? You've broken things beyond repair. The trust is gone. There is nothing left that you can do besides going and rotting in hell, Judith. Goodbye forever. Both Davis and I got divorced, and afterward, we completely severed all ties with each other. The two of us, who were thoroughly bewildered by our family over this matter, seemed to have been cut off from our relatives as well. Of course, my husband and Judith never once saw my child's face. Instead, I made sure to receive the appropriate alimony payments from them before completely cutting ties. I believe that these two, who cannot understand the pain of others, should learn by experiencing pain themselves. The divorce marked a significant turning point in my life, one that I had never expected. I remember the day we decided to end our marriage vividly. It felt surreal, as if I were watching a movie unfold rather than living through a personal crisis. Both Davis and I had invested so much into our relationship, and yet, here we are, deciding to walk away from everything we had built together. The moments leading up to that decision were filled with tension and heartache. We had spent years trying to make things work, attending couples therapy and having countless discussions about our future. However, with each conversation, the realization grew stronger that our love had faded, replaced by resentment and misunderstanding. The emotional distance between us became insurmountable, leaving us both feeling lonely even when we were in the same room. After the divorce, we agreed that it would be best for both of us to cut off all contact. This decision was not easy, but it felt necessary. We had grown into different people, and the foundation of our relationship had crumbled under the weight of unmet expectations and unresolved issues. Severing ties seemed like the only way to allow ourselves to heal and to move on without the constant reminder of what we once had. In the aftermath, it became painfully evident how our decision had affected not only us, but also our families. They were invested in our lives, and the news of our divorce left them reeling. I could see the shock in their faces, the questions that hung in the air, and the disappointment that lingered. They had witnessed our journey as a couple, celebrating our milestones and supporting us through challenges. Now, they were faced with the reality that we were no longer a united front. Our families attempted to understand what had gone wrong, often asking questions that felt intrusive and painful. What happened? Why couldn't you work things out? Is there any way to fix this? These questions were a reminder of the heartbreak we had experienced, and I struggled to find the words to explain our situation without oversharing or delving into the painful details. I wanted to be honest, but I also wanted to protect myself and my child from the judgment and scrutiny that often come with a divorce. As time passed, the tension with our families only seemed to escalate. It felt as though we were both on trial, with our relatives dissecting our choices and emotions. In the end, it became clear that this fracture in our marriage had created a rift in our families as well. Relatives who once supported us began to distance themselves, unsure of how to navigate this new reality. I felt the weight of their disappointment, as if I had let them down by failing to uphold the ideals of marriage and the family they held dear. As we distanced ourselves from our families, I found solace in the thought that I was protecting my child from any unnecessary complications. I had no desire for my child to be caught in the crossfire of our divorce. I knew that introducing my child to Davis and Judith would only complicate matters further. I envisioned a future where my child could grow up without the emotional burden that often accompanies broken families. I made a firm decision. My child would not meet Davis and Judith. It wasn't out of spite, but rather a protective instinct. I wanted to create a nurturing environment where my child felt safe and secure. I wanted to shield them from the conflicts that could arise from a complicated family dynamic. This choice, while difficult, felt necessary to ensure that my child could thrive without the added weight of our adult issues. With the financial aspects of our separation resolved, I focused on moving forward. I ensured that I received the appropriate alimony payments, which allowed me to maintain a sense of independence. I was determined to provide for my child and create a stable life, free from the turmoil that had defined our past. The financial support was not just about money. It represented a commitment to my new path, a path where I was in control of my life and my future. As the days turned into weeks, I couldn't help but reflect on the emotional scars that lingered from the divorce. It was not just a matter of ending a marriage. It was about the loss of dreams and the hopes we had for our future. I grappled with feelings of sadness and anger, often wondering if I had made the right choices. The grief of letting go was heavy, and I found myself questioning everything: my decisions, my worth, and my ability to love again. Through it all, I recognized the importance of understanding pain. I believe that both Davis and Judith were unable to comprehend the hurt they had caused, as they seemed to live in their own world, blissfully unaware of the consequences of their actions. I felt a deep sense of frustration toward them. They had moved on with their lives, seemingly without a second thought about the emotional turmoil that enveloped me. I often thought that perhaps they needed to experience pain themselves to truly grasp the weight of their actions. I didn't wish them harm, but I wanted them to understand the complexities of human emotions. Pain has a way of teaching us invaluable lessons about empathy, kindness, and the fragility of relationships. I hoped that one day they would face their own struggles, forcing them to confront the reality of their choices and the impact they have on others. The journey toward healing was not linear. It was filled with ups and downs. There were days when I felt strong and empowered, embracing my newfound independence. I explored interests that I had long neglected, rekindling old friendships and discovering new passions. I focused on self-care, understanding that healing takes time and that it was okay to grieve the loss of my marriage. In contrast, there were also days when the weight of loneliness felt unbearable. The silence in my home could be deafening, and I missed the companionship that had once brought me joy. I felt like I was on an emotional roller coaster, with moments of hope followed by waves of sadness. I realized that I needed to allow myself to feel these emotions fully, to acknowledge the pain without judgment. Gradually, I found strength in vulnerability. I began to open up to friends who had supported me throughout this journey. Their understanding and compassion were a balm to my wounded heart. I cherished the moments we spent together, sharing laughter and creating new memories. Their presence reminded me that I was not alone in this process and that support could be found in unexpected places. As I began to embrace this new chapter in my life, I also focused on my child. My love for them was unwavering, and I wanted to ensure they felt secure and cherished. I was determined to create an environment where they could thrive, where love and understanding were the cornerstones of our lives. I made it a priority to instill values of empathy and kindness, teaching my child the